AI agent.
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 Agents.
Agent.
Agent.
Agent. Agent.
Agent.
Agent.
Agent. Agent.
AI agents.
Yes, in July 2025, OpenAI released something called Agent Mode in ChatGPT. With this new feature, ChatGPT can automatically gather information, browse websites, and even carry out tasks for you, like building a slide deck or placing an online order. The cool part is that ChatGPT actually shows you a virtual computer environment, so you can see the whole process happening step by step. And I've already been testing this feature for a while, so today I'm going to walk you through Agent Mode and share 5 real use cases with you. Actually, Agent Mode is built on top of 2 features that ChatGPT released earlier in 2025, Operator in January and Deep Research in February. Operator could automatically control the browser, things like typing, clicking, and filling out forms, basically handling simple automation. Deep Research, on the other hand, focused on doing in-depth information gathering, pulling in references, and generating long reports. When these two were combined, you suddenly get the ability to search for information, interact with websites, and write reports all in one flow, and even trigger more advanced actions through the browser interface and app integrations. So put simply, Agent Mode adds the ability to actually take action, which is very different from just chatting with ChatGPT or using Deep Research to get answers without follow-up steps. But to be honest, the execution isn't as smooth as it sounds. Agent Mode is still pretty early stage, and you'll see some of its limitations in the examples I'm about to show you. Alright, so let's head over to the ChatGPT webpage. If you click the little plus icon next to the chat bar, there's an option for Agent Mode. Now, this feature is only available for paid users. If you're on the Plus plan, you actually get 40 runs per month. Below, you'll find some example use cases, like generating reports, performing actions on a web page, creating spreadsheets in Excel or Google Sheets format, and even making presentations in PowerPoint or Google Slides. And on the left, under Suggested, those examples are basically just a mix of the 4 main categories you see on the right. Now let's take a look at a daily life example. Say, I want to check product reviews. For instance, I'm looking to buy a 65-inch TV, so I ask ChatGPT Agent to search Reddit for the highest-rated TVs, and then try to place an order online. Let's run it. At the beginning, ChatGPT first sets up a virtual environment, and then it starts searching. On the screen, you can actually see its real-time thought process, and notice how it keeps trying different keywords for the search. If you switch to the Activity tab in the top right menu, you can even watch each step of its reasoning and search process. And at any point, you can also take control of the browser yourself. Now, here's something interesting. At first, it tries to check Best Buy and Amazon for reviews and checkout, but because it doesn't have permission, it switches over to Costco and Samsung's official site instead. Looks like it's recommending the Samsung S90D, but when it tries to place an order on Samsung's website, it runs into some issues. From my experience, sometimes Agent Mode can successfully visit sites, and other times it hits the same kind of errors. The cool part, though, is that when it does fail, it doesn't just stop. It actually rethinks the process and tries a different site, repeating the cycle until it gets closer to the goal of completing the online order. Lastly, it pauses on the Walmart page, and that's where I actually need to take over the browser myself. But when I do, the page isn't showing the right Walmart checkout view, so clearly something went wrong. At least, it does get me to a B&H page where I can add the TV to the cart and then finish the checkout. Honestly, at this stage, Agent Mode can recommend the Samsung S90D just fine, but the actual ordering still needs manual input. And since ChatGPT's access depends on which sites it has browsing permissions for, that also limits where it can place orders. So yeah, the idea of having it drive the browser all the way to checkout is really cool. And if those permission issues get solved, it'll be a feature with a lot of potential. But for now, the reality is, you'll still need to step in and place the order yourself. Next, let's try another everyday use case: travel planning. For example, I asked ChatGPT Agent to plan a 3-day, 2-night trip to Boston. I want it to include attractions, food, hotels, and transportation, and then put everything into a detailed PowerPoint itinerary, like what to do at certain times, which restaurants to eat at, and which places to visit. Just like before, it first sets up the virtual computer. Sometimes it'll ask you for more details, but if you don't have any preferences, you can just hit continue. And if you suddenly think of something to add, like in my case, I say I prefer more historical and outdoor attractions, you can type that in anytime, and it will update the plan for you. Okay, let's keep watching how the agent works. You'll see it trying different keywords to search. First for attractions, then hotels, and then transportation. After gathering all the info, it starts generating the slides. Here's the cool part. It actually creates its own illustrations for the slides, which means it's pulling in image generation directly into agent mode. What's also interesting is that instead of manually editing slides the way we normally would, it writes the underlying code to build the presentation. And at the end, it even checks and adjusts the layout automatically. So, after about 18 minutes, I got a full itinerary and a presentation. It covered the 3-day schedule, plus a summary section for accommodation, transport, and food. I'd say the presentation included all the key points, but the details felt a little thin, like there weren't enough descriptions about the attractions or restaurants. I still need to go back to ChatGPT's text answers. So I'd call this a passing presentation, but definitely with lots of room for improvement. Still, this is a good start. Agent Mode can already generate slide decks. And if you imagine applying this at work, where you just give a few simple instructions and it builds your slides automatically, it could really boost productivity. Especially for those repetitive decks you have to prepare regularly, handing them off to Agent Mode could be a huge time saver. Now let's look at another everyday use case: investment analysis. For example, I ask ChatGPT Agent to organize AI-related stocks into categories, then pick out the top 3 companies by market cap in each category, and create a presentation directly in Google Slides. In the last example, the agent generated slides by writing the underlying code. But this time, I specifically want it to create the deck directly inside Google Slides. Okay, here, you can see it controlling the browser to pull data from different websites. No API needed. As usual, it still sometimes hits sites it can't access. And normally the data collection process takes quite a while, so the ideal workflow is you just hand off the task to the agent and then check back later when it's done. From what I've noticed, Agent Mode actually takes longer to search than deep research. All right, looks like it's done collecting info and is now moving into Google Slides to build the presentation. Here, it should ask me to log into my Google account, but since I had just logged in during the last chat, it skipped straight into Google Slides. I'm not sure if that's normal behavior, because technically each new chat using Agent should require a fresh login. Now, here's the fun part. You can actually watch the agent building slides step by step. It has some basic editing skills, and it even shows its reasoning as it works. And here you can see the formatting got completely messed up. The agent tries several times to fix it, but nothing works. In the end, it just deletes this slide and pastes the text onto a new slide. And not only text, it even tries inserting a chart. It attempts to open Google Sheets, create the chart there, and then paste it back into slides. In the end, it doesn't work, so the chart got deleted and replaced with plain text instead. So after about 42 minutes, the presentation is ready. When I check it in Google Slides, the content was pretty basic, just text pasted into the slides. But the fact that the agent can directly edit in Google Slides shows huge potential. And it's not just slides. You could imagine it controlling all kinds of software and websites, which makes the possible applications really wide. One last note. Since these processes can take a long time, if you're not sitting in front of the screen, you can always replay the agent's actions afterwards to see exactly what it did. So, up to this point, with the 3 examples we just went through, I want to take a step back and talk about the bigger concept of an AI agent. At its core, an AI agent means that the AI has the ability to act autonomously. You just give it a final goal, and it figures out how to get there without human intervention. This idea of autonomy usually involves 4 key abilities: perception, decision-making, action, and feedback and learning. Perception is all about gathering context, like searching the web through a browser, taking in documents you upload, or pulling data from external sources, similar to the connectors feature inside ChatGPT. Once it has the information, the AI reasons about the current situation and the goal, and then decides what to do next. Thanks to large language models, this step is now much more flexible and general purpose compared to the old days of rigid rule-based systems. A chain of these decisions leads to the most important part: taking action. That could mean generating a report, sending an email, placing an order through the browser, or calling an API. Finally, the AI needs to check whether its action worked as expected. If not, it adjusts its decisions and tries again until it reaches the goal. As we saw in the earlier examples, when ChatGPT Agent hit errors, it would come up with alternative strategies to work around the problem. Now, bringing it back to ChatGPT Agent Mode itself, I'd say that it is a real-world implementation of the AI agent concept. However, it's still limited by the apps it can connect to and the browsing permissions it has. So for now, we can think of it as being in a very early stage. Now let's take a look at a more professional use case: market research. Let's say I want to open a burger shop near Fenway Park in Boston. I'd like to research the competition around that area, what kinds of burgers they sell, their prices, their unique features, and the positive and negative reviews they get on Google Maps. Finally, I want all this information organized into a spreadsheet. So the agent starts searching. It tries pulling menu information from different sources, and you can see it's already checked several burger places nearby. Next, it goes into Google Maps to gather reviews, and it really does open Google Maps, browse around, and collect feedback. Not only that, but it also grabs reviews from other sources and even checks the restaurant's official websites for more details. Once the searching is done, it begins organizing everything into a table. Finally, you'll see a text summary listing out the restaurants, and then it generates a CSV file for download. Looking at the spreadsheet, it included 7 burger restaurants with details like their addresses, burger items and prices, unique features, and positive and negative reviews from Google Maps. Now, honestly, while the information is all there, the table does feel a bit messy. I think the agent would perform better if the data was more structured or numeric. So overall, using agent mode for market research can definitely save a ton of time compared to manually checking different websites. But it still has the same issue. Sometimes site permissions block access. And while the output spreadsheet works, it still needs improvement. Plus, I have to admit, turning customer reviews into a table isn't the best fit in the first place. Finally, let's look at an example in content creation. I asked ChatGPT Agent to collect AI-related news from the past week about companies like OpenAI, Google, xAI, and Anthropic, and then turn that into a social media post for the X platform. So it starts gathering data. You can see it searching news for OpenAI, Google, xAI, and Anthropic one by one and running through 2 rounds of searches. Then it organizes the results into a social post and adjusts the length to fit. Now, when it's about to log into X, this is where I have to step in and log in manually. I take over the browser, signed in with my Google account, and then hand control back to the agent. But here's an important note. Logging into your personal accounts through ChatGPT's virtual environment could raise security issues, so I strongly recommend not entering any sensitive personal info. Once logged in, the agent continues on its own, and I can actually watch it control my X account and post the content. And sure enough, when I check my account, there is a new post. This does show that the agent can operate software interfaces, but honestly, the post content itself isn't great, so I end up deleting it. Back in ChatGPT, this is really where the agent shows its strength. Once you log in, it's not limited to just social platforms. It could perform actions on any website. Right now, it still requires manual login. But if in the future ChatGPT could securely store your credentials and log in automatically, then you'd have true end-to-end automation. And this case is also a perfect fit for the schedule feature, so the agent could automatically create and publish a new post every week. Okay, with all the real-life examples we just went through, I hope this gives you a clear idea of what ChatGPT Agent Mode can do and how you might apply it in your own way. Agent Mode takes ChatGPT beyond simple conversations and gives it the ability to actually perform actions, like generating reports, interacting with websites, creating slides, or even posting on social media. That said, it's still in an early stage. Because of browsing limits, login requirements, and OpenAI's own disclaimers about certain risks, many tasks still need manual intervention. But if you set those restrictions aside, you can already see the broad potential of Agent Mode. So overall, I'd say this is the first real step toward AI agent that doesn't just give you answers, but actually gets things done for you. And that's what makes Agent Mode such an exciting feature to keep an eye on. All right, that's it for today's walkthrough. If you have any questions about ChatGPT Agent Mode, or if you want to share how you've been using it, feel free to drop a comment down below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That's all for now, and see you next time. Bye.